was getting refreshing. So I'm going to share a thought with my friend Jenna.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I've missed you. I've been really busy and
That's
I've been
good.
only tuning in. Yeah, it has been good, but I've been only tuning in infrequently. I'm just doing plugs and things like that, and then I'll
Sure.
chill out. Just want to make sure
Okay.
I'm good to go.
Okay. I'm
Um,
going to share a story while you're plugging stuff in.
please do. I'll mute myself.
Mhm. Um, that's fine. I don't mind the sound of the plugs and stuff. Um, it's all good. So I was talking with a friend this morning, a friend and client, and we were talking about how he has gotten involved in um drumming, right? So he plays the drums, and his girlfriend sings, and they're doing these bands and gigs and practicing and doing all these different things. And it was originally his thing where he was just doing the drumming because he wanted to work on his nice, going sideways there for a second. Um, so yeah, so he started doing the drumming just for his own personal growth, but then his girlfriend loves singing as well, and now she's come in and she's getting all these accolades, and they're loving her singing, and they're doing some bands, and she's feeling really good about the fact that these people recognizing that she's a good singer, and she's getting invited to do some more stuff. And we're having this conversation about, even though it was his thing, he's realizing now that it's her thing, and she's coming alive doing it. And this is something that they travel together and they go these things. And then he says this line as he's walking out the door. He says, I'm so glad that she has found a space. And for the amount of time that we talk about holding space for people, creating space for yourself, I haven't heard anyone talk about someone finding their space. He's a psychologist, so he knew exactly what he was saying when he said it. So as he was saying, I've been musing on that, finding a space, and how this lady is becoming alive is something that she didn't know. That, I mean, she likes singing, she do karaoke and stuff, but she comes alive in the spaces apart from her job, apart from her spouse, apart from. But it's a thing that she has found her space in. She's found something that makes her feel alive, and that it just enhances their relationship because being a married couple, you can't be all things to your spouse. So when they find their thing, you're elated when they find their thing because it gives you a bit of space. It gives you guys something that makes you alive separately. So just that sense, or that phrase of she found her space within that context of holding space and creating space for people. I thought it was just a fun line, that an interesting way of phrasing it that he used for her. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's incredible. I think to exactly to echo your point. Um, so a lot of times we expect other people to provide spaces for us, or simply by like being in a relationship, personal, friendship, professional. It's like we're looking for something and we almost misinterpret that something as being achieved by being with somebody else. Like it's that somebody else will give us that something.
Yes.
Kind of rolling with that a lot in the coaching world right now, with everybody spending
Mm-hmm.
buckets of money on programs that they think are going to be the game changer, and they just keep missing that actually they're the game changer. The program should be supporting their own game.
Yes.
They create the game for themselves, and I think it's I think it's bold to find space, to take the step to finding a space. I think it's pretty radical too, because often finding your space means in many ways going against the perceptions that people in your life have had about you. You know, it's like you
Yes.
finding a space sometimes means stepping outside of the box that someone else is comfortable with you being in. It's
Yes.
it's letting all of yourself be expressed and sometimes
Have the
seen.
expression.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think it's I resonate with that, maybe not in the same way of like finding something that's not entangled with work, because most of my spaces are entangled with work, and that's just where I'm at right now. But I feel like there's been a lot of effort for me personally behind stepping out of the expectations of the space I'm in, and really being willing to kind of like trust my gut and I said this to somebody yesterday, I'm more willing to speak my truth, get it wrong, and have the chance to revise it than I am to stay
Mhm.
silent for the comfort of other people.
Well said.
So, and that's the space that I'm in right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's important. I think our industry has suffered from, it's almost like we've had the blinders on to there only being a certain number of spaces available for people, certain
Yes.
ways of teaching or certain methods of teaching. And at the end of the day, like what happens when you take those blinders off is you say, oh, there's so much more room.
Hmm.
There's so much room for expression. There's room for
Absolutely.
other people to be invited into these spaces. I literally was just speaking to a client before this where she was like, thank you for, she said that like much of the fitness industry is so focused on weight loss and improvement and all of these, really aesthetically driven, non-personal elements.
Objectives. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she said, as somebody who might be described as overweight, it's actually more powerful for women to step into their space and own the space that they take up and start to, just vehemently work against the toxicity of what movement and fitness is trying to promote and towards like the feeling better, the being able to show up in your life more,
Yes.
being able to engage with other people in a more authentic way. I know that word's overused, but
I
it,
hardly think it's overused.
yeah, it's
I think
overused
we,
in a way that like it's like when everybody started saying woke or
yes.
things like that. Like it's overused and like if you say it,
Yes.
you kind of get a pass. But are you really doing the work? And like, you know,
Right. Yes, those annoying buzzwords.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that idea. I think that
Mm.
for what else are we supposed to do in this life except for kind of journey and search and figure out where we're supposed to be at this stage and at other stages. So finding a space is like, isn't that kind of what it's all about? I don't
No,
know.
absolutely. Yes. I think Emma's pointing out that organic is another one of those buzzwords that's
Yeah,
getting like,
organic.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
true.
organic.
What Emma was on was when Emma was on yesterday with Misty and we were talking, I said something towards the end and I kind of said it in passing, and then I got a message from someone afterwards where it really resonated. Leading from the middle.
Hmm.
And I think that now that like since I got that message and I was thinking about it again, it's like that's really what we're doing, where we're not really on the mountaintop saying, okay, attention everybody, stop saying this. We are leading our people, our sphere of influence to not look at a body's shape in a toxic way or to not throw around words lightly or to we're dictating a lot of things from being on the front lines and seeing it every day. So in a sense,
Yeah.
there's a sense of leading from the middle and hoping that what we are saying and doing is leading a conversation in a different way. And there's a
So,
lot of us leading
yeah.
from the middle doing that.
This is so timely. I just dropped a new episode of Jay-Z Unfiltered, and
Mm-hmm.
the title of it is "We Are Not Good at Gurus."
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, and the premise of it surrounds something called role incredulity, and it's the moment that when someone looks at someone in a position of leadership or power and kind of can't believe that it's them. So it's the idea of usually for women, certainly for marginalized folks as well, although it's this particular term is focused on gender bias,
Sure.
but it definitely translates
Yeah. Yeah,
across
just
the board.
run with the gender context just so we get a clear
Yeah,
idea of it.
so essentially it's like when the example that I read is the woman comes up to the garage and it says Dr. Smith on it, and they go, "Is this you or is this your husband?" Or the woman walks into the literal doctor's office and they go, "Oh, are you the nurse?" Or in our
Right.
work, it's basically that we teach gym class for a living. And isn't
Mm-hmm.
that cute? And
Yes.
also for PE teacher, I mean, like, it's just like this
Mm-hmm.
sense of like almost taking away any level of significance, or just like it's incredulous to think that you could be in the position that you're in. That's what it's about. So
Yes.
my premise about this is that in our world, in the fitness and wellness world, we don't do a good job at holding leaders accountable, and we often are so taken with physical ability or professional presence, what it looks like for the person to be on the top of the pedestal. And we sit in
Yes.
awe of that, and we forget to investigate who this human is, what they stand for, how their business behaves, whether or not their words actually hold truth or they just sound good in the moment. And
Mhm.
we kind of, in the zeitgeist of Pilates especially, we've been taught to scan the room for perfection and go to the person who's most perfect as the leader in the room. And my argument was, we have to stop being so surprised when different people lead, when
Mhm.
people who might not have the perfect teaser, like to consider that those people could be in the role of leadership and be as, if not more effective, because they have more skills than just the aesthetics we're drawn to. And
Yes.
I said, we just have to open up and stop being so surprised that other people exist in the world outside of those who can perform the work well.
Well said.
Thank you. And I go into a lot more
Absolutely.
in the episode, and
No,
also
that's
haven't had a lot
yeah.
of coffee, so I'm sorry if that didn't come out right. But the point of it
No,
is,
that's
we're
good.
not good at gurus.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. This is like almost a watered down example of that, as someone writes preach in the chat there.
Thank you. I
When
will.
when I walk into a group fitness class, to my Pilates class, I walk, say everyone's set up, and I went out to get some water, and I walk in. I'm like, "Hi, my name's Martin," and they're like, "Great." I'm like, "I'm the teacher." And they're like, "Oh, you're the teacher." Like, 'cause they don't expect a male
Yeah.
Pilates teacher, right? Like
Yeah.
the sense of
Yeah.
like, and that's like on a small scale. So I mean, we're talking about scale and status and position.
Yeah.
Then that gets exasperated
Well, the
massively,
thing
right?
about leading from the middle is oftentimes you're still in the game. So when you're a guru, you haven't been on the ground floor. You maybe have surpassed
Right.
struggle. You've gone through a period of enlightenment, and you're teaching from that place, which, to be quite honest with you, I have sat at the feet of many gurus in my career in various areas of professional endeavor.
Mhm.
They don't remember what it's like to not be able to pay your bills, because they're charging thousands of dollars for you to be there. But they don't
Right.
remember what it's like to be like in a space where, like,
Yes.
oops, I forgot to get that business insurance, or oops, I didn't know about this thing, or I'm using unlicensed music and I'm getting charged $1 million in a lawsuit because I didn't know that that was a thing. They don't remember it because they're usually more resourced either in boundaries between themselves and the real aspects of the
Mhm.
world, the day-to-day grind, or they're resourced in wealth, or in support systems, or in PR, or they're so buffered back behind their brand that there is no space for them to be vulnerable. And if they do, they'll lose the people who are banking on them being perfect. So the guru model is like, it doesn't work for real sustainable actions and effort that actually leads to building blocks of a business, of a teaching practice,
Mhm.
of the growing of a human being. And there's really
Yes.
nothing worse than realizing, as a follower or supporter or student of somebody, that they were a human all along, but they just went through major efforts to hide that. And if they
Yes.
had just
That's the
opened that
thing.
human thing up a little bit, a real
Yes.
conversation could have come from it. But instead, we're upholding these tenets that sound really good and that support the cause or the person. And
Yeah.
we're having arguments, even though there's something inside of us that says, oh, this isn't quite right. But we're arguing to the point of saying, like, no, but this guru said it and they know.
Hmm.
If they just if we have a leader from the middle, it's a straight talk.
Yeah.
It's teaching. It's offering opportunities for synthesis, for conversation. It's not do as I say. And that's, I will vow with my own hand, not even an emoji, I will never be caught in the space of a guru again. My life depends on it. My community depends on it.
Right. Your integrity depends on it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was trying to explain integrity to Jackson in the car on the way to school this morning because I was leaving a voice text for somebody to say, unfortunately, I'm not teaching for this platform anymore because they had a really toxic promotion of weight loss and calorie burning. And at this point in my career, I'm too educated to be able to contribute to that messaging. It doesn't work. It's toxic. It's harmful. It's bias. And I won't do it anymore. So unfortunately, I can't do it. And I said, my integrity depends on it. And Jackson said, what does integrity mean?
What's integrity?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes. We're in the drop-off line. We get kiss and go, 4 cars until I drop them off. I said, it's when you speak. This is real parenting in 2022, right? Talk. It's like you don't even have commercials anymore to speak in. You got to hit it before the next episode comes on Netflix.
Yes.
But I said, baby, it's when what you believe in your heart shows up in your words and your actions. And then I was like, thank you, because that was not of me. That was something that came through as a teachable moment. And he goes, okay, bye. He jumped out of the car. You know, like that's what it is. And the thing is, when you lead from the middle, you're speaking those words from your heart, because nobody is really holding you real accountable. Like you don't have the vast amount of followers or, you know, constituents or anything that are like, they haven't invested their time, beliefs, and energy. Like you haven't had to please anybody. Yeah. So you're leading.
No one's worshiping you yet.
That. And so you're starting to say those words, like you're emoting out what you believe on a platform that hasn't really been built up. And the great thing about that is when you start in that way, you can't go back on those words.
Well, you know what's funny? The reason why you can't go back is because everyone's growing with you.
Yeah.
And because everyone's growing together, they'll recognize when you change the script.
Right.
You're creating your own accountability within the infrastructure.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And you have to be like that position requires you to be transparent. Mm-hmm. I used to scramble if I had like some kind of tech situation or a glitch or the thing. And now I've just been in the online realm for so long that I understand that that's what comes with it. It's the side dish, you know, it's right there. And I'm really, really focused on when somebody has a glitch and they get annoyed. And this is speaking from the last 48 hours. I always want to let them know I'm doing the best I can, and some of these things are out of my control, but I want you to know that I'm on it, and I will keep you posted at every step of the way, whether or not you decide to continue with me. Yes. So, and that's just because there's too many people out in the world being like, you shouldn't ever have issues in your business. You should
Yeah.
Like, that's not what happens in the real world.
It's just funny too, Jenna, like when you're opening up with that example right there, I thought you were going to take it from the other side of watching a presenter get flustered when their media lets them down. And that's the thing that I look at. It's like, hey, if I'm in a presentation, I paid for it, whatever, and it's like it's crumbling in front of them, how is the presenter handling it?
That's it. Yeah. I want to know that they're not depending on the performance aspect. I want to know that they can drop in and meet me on an eye to eye. Like if their PowerPoint, I can read, turns out. So if their whole entire PowerPoint is on a presentation, that's an email. That's not time spent watching them read it to me. But if that goes down, I want them to drop in and meet me and say, all right, that didn't happen. Let's move on to what we're here to talk about.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be in the room with somebody who is so attached to their image
Thank you.
and their and like soliciting compliments
Right.
that they crumble when something goes wrong.
Yes.
It's the definition of resilience, and it's also the definition of like being grounded in your work.
Hmm.
And I think, like, just to loop it back, when you have found a space, you are not confused about what your work is, because it translates. Whether you're singing, there's something about the feeling of what you want to contribute into any given situation. So if you're creating
Yes.
art on one side, there's a level of that that's going to translate into your teaching or the way you're running a business. If you're having a
Yes.
really, because otherwise you're exhausted all the time because
Hmm.
you're code switching and you're wearing too many hats. And
Yes.
that kind of leadership, just had it,
Yeah. Yeah.
had it. So yeah, I'll look forward. I have a big topic that I want to talk with you soon on.
Sure.
Yeah, I need to do a little more research on it because I heard the term and the way I heard it was different than what it actually is. And so I
Okay.
want to do a little bit of um, I want to see how those two things intermix, but I
Sure.
will bring it back and we can chat about it for sure.
Do you want to phone me and we can just talk it through?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so because it feels really, the way I heard it feels really important to fitness, but it's actually a term that's used in business. I'll just drop it here and maybe you can do your own due diligence.
Or
Flashlight also heard it.
right.
Say hi. Who's that? Say hi to mom.
I hey.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so the term is aesthetic labor. And I think it's something we all have to investigate. I
Okay.
actually put a post together and then I realized I had more learning to do. Speaking of the middle, I put a post together based on my vision and then I was like, you know what? Let me see what else is out there. Turns out there is a lot of research behind it that took it in
Right.
a different way. It
Hey.
interfaces, but I'm like, oh, look at that. Take that post down real quick. I
Right.
mean, I didn't post it, just take it off of the queue. And
Mhm.
let's think back of how this actually is helpful or provokes thought or what have you. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, I'll give that some thought.
yeah, please do. All
Yeah.
right, I gotta go lift for life. Get
Get
these
it.
gams squatting, move some
Get it. I
stuff.
referred someone to your program, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, a lady who is doing like women's health stuff. She just had some procedures done, and so we were talking about the importance of resistance training and layering that into her work. So
Yeah,
hopefully she'll follow up with you.
thank you. I appreciate that.
All
Awesome.
right.
Always a pleasure talking.
Thank
Love what
you.
you're doing. Say
Thank
hi
you,
to
Jenna.
Alex.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, see you soon.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah. Um, I really like her. She, as you can see, is for real, authentic, organic, all those buzzwords. She's the real deal. She is not just tick the box with a buzzword. She's doing it. So that was that find the space conversation. That's what I was musing on in just a trigger word from just a conversation I had with someone this morning. And I love when we can take time to unpack words like that and understand their real meaning and be intentional with it. Absolutely. Such a wonderful spirit. Hi from Bolivia. Yes. Andrew, what's going on? Do you think that employers are using authentic labor in making employee decisions? Yeah, aesthetically. You know what's funny? I actually haven't even given any more thought to that word and what it would look like, Andrew. Do you want to come on right now? I'd love to hear like how you define it. Like I have no like because I already my head's in what I want to talk about here. I haven't given too much time to aesthetic labor yet. But if you have some thoughts on it, give me a thumbs up. I'll bring it on and let's talk it through. I'm fine to think on my feet and be wrong here, so let's do it. Bolivia, I'm going to screenshot that so I can reach out to you after because I'd love to hear what you um, your story. Okay, cool. Um, all right, so yeah, so aesthetic labor. So I'm gonna look into that. I wanna unpack that some more. And yes, let's have a conversation about that because that is cool. When we were in that conversation with Jenna a minute ago, someone put in the chat something that actually was exactly where I wanted to go next, and I believe it was Tammy who said something about vulnerability. Trying to find it here. Also being okay, yeah. So Tammy mentioned so about being vulnerable, and 1 second here. Serenity Wellness, how are you? So Pilates in Bolivia. Please message me after. I'd love to have you on, and we can do a core conversation and learn all about Pilates in Bolivia. I love having different people from all over the world and just seeing how what Pilates looks like in Wales or Turkey or Dubai and all those different places. So it's been fun to do that. Misty Lynn Cawthon yesterday, when we were talking with Emma, brought up the fact that sometimes vulnerability becomes a bad word. So much like organic, authentic, name the other buzzwords, put them in the comment section. Vulnerability becomes a bad word. The reason why is because people fear that they're going to capitalize on that vulnerability, on that weakness, and it's actually going to be to your detriment. Instead of accepting it, embracing it, allowing it to be a place, a growing point. So I like the concept of vulnerability, and I don't feel like people are throwing it around in a fake way. Sometimes it gets overused, but you know what? When people try and overuse it with me, as I'm sure is with you, you can sniff it out when people are just feigning vulnerability or when they're actually being vulnerable, when they're being authentic or when they're just using it to kind of rope you in to something. So that being said, I remember when I was working at the dams in social work and we had these conversations as a team around vulnerability, and I was like, that's weakness. That was like, I felt like that was a sign of weakness. Like we are strong. We need to show confidence that people lead from the front and, march ahead and show no weakness type thing. And that used to be my mindset. I used to equate vulnerability with weakness, and they are not synonyms, but I thought they were. Recognize now, years later, 400 conversations later, that being vulnerable is a point of connection, is a point of strength, is a point of opportunity for growth. And that is the thing. When I was doing marriage and family therapy, and I used to do a lot of these premarital counseling, we would get a couple in before they do a thing, and we do these inventories. In those inventories, they always phrase it this way: there are strength areas and there are growth areas. There was no weaknesses. It wasn't strengths and weaknesses. It was strength areas and growth areas. And I think vulnerability is that same thing. If we look at it and the things that we have challenges with and opportunities, certain contexts that present a challenge for us, those are opportunities for growth. Those are the places where we can say, I suck at this, I'm getting better. I might be wrong, but like you don't have to present like Jenna was saying a minute ago. You don't have to present like you're a guru, like you have the answers, and here it is from on high, the way it should be. Come in your vulnerability, come in your openness, and be like me a minute ago, authentic, like aesthetic labor. I don't even know what that means. I could think it through and wrestle it through, but I'm not going to pretend like, oh yes, and let's wax philosophical. I don't know what it means yet. I don't know what it means for me. I don't know what it means for our context. So, like, I'm going to learn that. That's an opportunity for growth instead of pretending it because I talk 5 days a week here on these lives. I know everything. I flat out don't. read a couple of these comments here. So Carrie saying, I was raised, we people cry, we people ask for help, which is so not true. Il Lacerda Pilates says, yep, when showing feelings was perceived as weakness. Right. Wasn't that a wonderful thing in the midst of the sadness of COVID and the sadness of this racial awakening and George Floyd and stuff, and Donald Trump doing all kinds of foolishness and people getting away with murder, literally, seeing Black men cry, seeing Black men say, I am mad. Seeing these things come out in the media, it gave us all permission to be vulnerable on another layer. Because intuitively we knew that, we're well past the toxic masculinity piece. I think that box is way over there now. But there's still certain things that weren't kosher. There's certain things that weren't that's okay mainstream. And those big turning point momentous events give us collectively a permission to emote on a different level, and then that stays with us. So it's not that much of a shock now when you see someone fly off the handle and say something in their anger in a social media event because something just happened in the media. We are allowed to be outraged. We're allowed to be sad. We're allowed to be happy in different ways now. So I like the fact that we've broken those thresholds and that they have some space. I like that. That is true vulnerability for me, and I appreciate it when I see people come from that place. I give space for that here. I will show that. I'm not afraid to show that, and sometimes I don't like to show it because I don't like feeling that, having something trigger that in me. But I'm here. That's what it does. We take those facades off. Yes, exactly. Mask off. I used to say that all the time when I was going through my divorce, and work was my safe place. I'd walk in and just dive deep in helping people achieve their fitness goals or their movement goals or whatever, and have fun. Just dive deep on that because I could just put my mask on, get through my day, and not have to worry about the stuff that's happening in my world in the background. So, hey, Natalia, that was a different time. Right now, we could take those facades off, and we could be real, and we could share, and we can still. I mean, this is the sweet spot between robbing someone of time as we bleed all over them. I'm not down for that too. They're paying for my time and expertise, but being real, be organic, be authentic. Natalia, is what we're talking about, and vulnerability. Is vulnerability a bad word? Misty said yes yesterday, and I understand her context, but I'm not fully in agreement with that. I think that vulnerability still is a word, and it doesn't have to be loaded in a negative way because we can sniff it out. We can tell when it's real, when it's not. And it's simply not. If it's not fake vulnerability, is not vulnerability. So it's not vulnerable. That's something else. That's a facade. I don't know. I'm just talking. If you want to join me on screen, request to join. Emma, also recognizing what is responsible. Emma, do you want to join me again? I just want to finish up a little bit of our conversation from yesterday too. If you want to jump in and continue that, but as her comment says here, there's also a need for recognizing what is a response and what is a reaction, right? So those are two different things. And I think, and sorry, I'm going to read the next comment here. I think that those of us who work with conscious Pilates specialists, what's going on, man? I think that those of us who work with conscious movement have to promote the flow of feelings. Yeah, we do. We do. And that sense of reaction versus response, if you want to unpack that for me, Emma, that'd be great. I'm thinking that through. And good to see Pilates specialists in the room. Botswana, I believe. Hey, what's going on? Are you scrambling to set up because I hit the invite so quickly?
Yeah, I was actually lying in bed listening to you. Sorry, I'm still not 100%.
Actually, I can't I can't hear your audio is not too clean. Hey there, Paul, again.
Is that any better?
Still pretty muffled there.
Now?
Now, but you're sideways.
Yeah, that's the deal. I'm either sideways or the sound's good. I'll find some AirPods. Hang on.
So in the meantime, that so Pilates Bolivia, like, what's your name there? I just see the handle, but I'm not sure what your name is. But her comment is, we need to promote the flow of feelings. And I just want to find out from her, if you want to put in the comment section, what do you mean promote the flow of feelings? Because, you know, I'm almost playing like the other side of the coin on this, because like when I was in personal training, they almost tell us like they don't care about your feelings. You know what I mean? Like, go in, help them get to their goals, and fly out. Like, they don't care about your feelings. So there isn't a flow of feelings. There isn't the sense of like, let's just sit here and just cry. You could just cry on my shoulder for the hour and then, you know, be on your way, sort of thing, right? There wasn't a free flow of feelings. There's maybe an awareness of where they're at and program accordingly, but not a flow of feelings. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. And what were you saying about the reaction versus response piece? Can you hear me?
Yes. How about now?
Okay, good.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Yay.
that's great.
Okay. Yeah, I just think that quite often there's a reaction to something, and that's where we have those really strong feelings, and perhaps we're not kind of careful with what we're saying because we're reacting to something.
Yes.
But just taking that time to, oh yeah, this is how I feel when I'm really annoyed about something, and you know, I'm going to take a second here and just kind of maybe think it through a little bit before that response comes out of my mouth. I'm not saying that I'm brilliant at it all the time, but it's definitely something I've tried to teach my kids as they've grown up. Just you know, take a step.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because like for me, I can say, and this isn't bragging, but I'm good at that side because I suck at the other side. Like, I have to really, like, you're not going to get a knee-jerk reaction out of me. You can't evoke that out of me, because I'm going to pause and process it, be pensive with it, and almost give you like that contemplative response, as opposed to what the real, like, maybe the authentic, like not authentic, but like the first response might have given us a different result, but you're always going to get that contemplative response from me.
I think that perhaps it's rawness with the reaction, but I think, I don't know, I think I'm thinking of lots of kind of like negative feedback, lots of trolling, lots of, you know, I've been listening to a podcast called Conversations with People Who Hate Me. I don't know if you know.
No, but that sounds intriguing.
It's amazing, but yeah, it's more that side. Yeah, you can kind of tie your head in kind of knots, kind of thinking everything through from lots of different perspectives.
Right.
But I guess it's like, do no harm. Like, listen. Yeah.
Yes. I'm like charter member of Overthinkers Anonymous, so that's where that comes from.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think definitely coming from a therapy background, that's just comes with the territory.
I think I've seen you in the meetings before.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That's my growing edge.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No, man. Yeah, so that's good. So I thought it was cool. Were you here when I was talking with Jenna about the whole like finding a space thing?
Yeah, I really liked that. I was actually, I wanted to ask Jenna actually, because I know her from the Fletcher world. And yeah, I was going to say that I felt like she really found her space when she left there. Like,
oh, really?
She really, I've watched her kind of, you know, from a distance kind of like grow into
the space that she's in now. And
Yes.
yeah, it's powerful.
That must be fun to watch.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
interesting.
Like, yeah, and it was the same for many of us too, right? You see stuff that they're doing and how we fumbled through our first live to see that we now have like our own on-demand platform, like sort of thing, you know, like it's like wow, you're like a star now. Actually, I forgot to mention to her too. In my like memories on Facebook, I believe Brink was like this week or today or something like that last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about this time. Is it or Momentum Fest?
Momentum Fest is like in May, June,
Okay,
June-ish.
right.
But I think Brink was last year around this time. So I gotta go back to that because I wonder what I was preaching then and if I'm still living it now. Or if that was completely dashed to the wind as something new is, like wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking about that. How's Maria? Did you talk to her since her
Yes.
cameo appearance yesterday?
Yeah, she's good to meet up again. I'm just trying to organize a trip to Barcelona to see her over the Easter break. So I was hoping to get her online kind of at that time
Yes.
also.
Stay tuned. That will be so good.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you gotta jump off. I was gonna talk a little bit more about the what like just we were talking about yesterday, just about like how we see the industry, but I'm still debating if I even want to go there. Like it was such a reluctant piece yesterday.
I saw everyone's
for us.
faces, the reluctance in even addressing
Misty.
that topic. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's huge. It's a huge topic, but I feel like
Yeah.
it definitely needs some air, and I think it needs some air from the middle. Just like
Absolutely.
Jenna was saying, I see where the industry leaders are looking to take us, but I'm kind of not sure I want to go in that direction.
Right.
So I would like to hear from Pilates teachers, people who are teaching day to day, where they see it, like post COVID,
Yes.
in amongst all of the big gyms, kind of bringing, reformers for 16, 17 people. Like, what does that mean for like the everyday teacher now? And
Right.
how do they see their business going? And yeah,
For sure.
that would be a great
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah, it's definitely, and even like I was saying about teacher trains, like what have you added to your curriculum to address the modern day context or climate?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see anything. I mean, I come from, from Fletcher, and I've watched it stay the same, and
Right.
I've not seen any progression. And especially with Black Lives Matter, I saw nothing from most of the industry, and still nothing. Still waiting, So
Yeah.
this whole leading from the middle is super important. I really like that. It's really struck a chord with me.
Good. So glad. I think we're gonna keep running with that. It's because it's empowering, right? Like, don't you feel like all of a sudden there's a sense of like, wait a minute, I'm in the middle. I'm a leader. Okay, let's go. Like, let's ride, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. Like each person out there is, has power.
yes.
There's so much more. There's so many more of us teaching. There is people at the top running these programs. We get to choose where we spend our money. We get to, choose who we want to maybe kind of be more, I don't know, at the guru stage, but the voices that we want to hear.
Yes.
Like you said yesterday about that, it's not a surprise that there's more diversity across our industry. That isn't like you say, oh wow, you're a guy teaching Pilates. That becomes less of a thing. It's just like, yeah, everyone does, right?
Right.
We all do this. That's what. Yeah.
That's it.
That was a bit of a diatribe. Sorry.
No, that's a great diatribe. That's a great topic. I like my Emma time. This is fun.
Thank you. I'm feeling pretty dire. So if you don't mind, I feel like I'm sweating up again. I can see my face getting redder. I'll listen in. If anyone else wants to hop on, I'd appreciate it. Thank
Right.
you so
Okay.
much.
Before
Thank
you slip
you.
away, thanks for
Yeah,
jumping.
always.
It's too funny. Hi, Alicia. How are you? Nerd. Paul, thanks for joining us again and jumping in with our friend Emma joins us. Um, it depends vulnerability, block this. Yes. Good stuff today. 10:53. Man, that went fast. Alicia, did you work out this morning with Brooke and company? I've been meaning to get back to that, but I have to say, now that it's daylight savings time, that 3 o'clock a.m., I might have to wait till winter. Like, that's like next level. 4 o'clock is like just on the edge. 3 o'clock is tough. So I'm not sure if that's happening for me anytime soon. You did. Good for you. Nice. In the last 5 or 6 minutes that we have, if you have any online classes, workshops, stuff like that that's coming up, can you put it in the comment section? Or if you'd like to join me on screen just to talk quickly about what you got going on, let's just take a few minutes and do that. Because I just want to promote, if you have programs, stuff that's coming up. I know that like Jenna is teaching like a resistance training thing right now. There may be some workshops coming up. I know, for example, Tracy and Michael Brown came on yesterday and we're talking about the plies for Ukraine fundraiser that they're doing. What do you got going on? Let's cheer you on. You can message me later and I'll repost it. Some people have done that recently and I appreciate that. Send me a direct message with a poster or a picture of what you're working on, and I'll put it up on my feed and I'll mention it when we're on here. Let me see if I have anything. Just checking my chat here. Is that the one? 20. Or do we pass this one? Right? Oh, that's the one I've already passed. Sorry about that. Disregard. Yeah, that's a whelp. Christina, what's going on? All right, party people, we are done for today. Tomorrow I have Francesca on, and yeah, just waiting for some more information from her. Thank you. Yes. Okay, let's see these few that are coming up here. Pilates by Aim link is in the bio for Pilates Thinker. Please check that out. Tammy has her Trauma Informed Movement 10-week course. That's coming up as well. Carrie, thank you for joining us. Christina, what's going on? And that is about it. Looking forward to my guest tomorrow. Thank you for, once again, just an amazing week so far. Just some great thoughts. I got to check out this phrase, aesthetic labor, and get some understanding of what that would mean and what the different contexts and the applications of that would be. Keep being real, keep being authentic, keep being organic, keep being. That's about it. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. We out.